A continuación tenemos a Olga Nasibullina. Ya os pido a todos disculpas porque voy a presentarla en inglés y mi inglés es como el de aquella insigne alcaldesa de la Relaxing Cup of Coffee. Pero bueno, Olga, thank you for joining us. Olga Nasibullina is Cybersecurity Workforce Development and Director of Top10Abilities Program. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. So I work in workforce development field, but recent 2 years I worked in government consultancy in Ukraine in cybersecurity field for USAID cybersecurity for critical infrastructure of Ukraine projects. So when you try to work in government field, you cannot leave. So I continue to support in terms of consultancy government of Ukraine and agencies that are dealing with cybersecurity space. So currently I'm developing different workforce development projects, and since March I joined Cyber Rangers training provider as a top 10 abilities director. It's separate programs that will be developed with my help following months and years. So today I will share with you my view about CyberWar and how it relates with physical war that we have today in Ukraine, and what lessons we can take from this current war for Spain, for Ukraine, for global situation, and how we can cooperate in this field. Okay. So I try to translate a little bit in Spanish, so helpful. If there are some mistakes, please. I think it will be helpful. So Russian war against Ukraine has many dimensions. It's conventional, economic, cyber, information, and cultural war. Today we see that the world's first large-scale cyber war did not demonstrate new types of weapons, and that all attacks that we used to have by Russia have been already categorized and have solutions for counteractions. It means that nothing new is passing. We know all, Europe, US states, all people and professionals in cyberspace knows how to deal with it. Cyber attacks are entirely consistent with Russia's overall military strategy. Cyber attacks often are coordinated with other attacks, conventional attacks on the battlefield, and information psychological and propaganda operations. So I will explain you how it works, what we saw during last year. It's for example, if we took some separate region in Ukraine, there is an attack on official website, government website, on bank website. It means that people cannot access to the information, and in this time we had missile strikes. It means that psychologically people cannot have information, and they are more stressed about situation, what is happening. And they may see that government is dealing bad with the situation. So it's mostly for to make psychological pressure on Ukrainian people, and such type of attacks were very often during last year. So it's actually as a use case. we all know what happened in terms of war since February 24, but maybe it would be interesting to you what it happened in cyberspace. So actually, we can say that everything in cyberspace has begun on February 15th, when Ukraine has very most powerful DDoS attack in history of Ukraine, and it related to government website, financial sectors, Ministry of Defense, Armed Forces, and different other ministries. On February 23rd, before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, several government and banking websites were attacked again. And according to the state-owned electricity transmission system operator Ukrenergo, the peak of cyber attack against the energy sector of Ukraine was when the Ukrainian power grid was connected to European. It means that already in this time, it was also related not only to Ukraine, but also for European countries, because we were already connected. But in this case, during some attacks, Russians hackers did not even try to hide the origin and used Russian IP addresses. So it was like very, visible, and they didn't hide for that. So on February 24, when Russian troops launched a large-scale invasion, there was an attack on satellite internet service via SAT, about this. So the interest of this attack was destabilize the connection for Ukrainian military troops and Ukrainian government, that they could lost the connection, etc. But actually it didn't work, because Ukrainian agencies provided very quickly another possibility of connections, and it didn't make any impact for Ukrainian resistance. However, it impacted European citizens who lost internet in some regions, and also it impacted some wine stations that also lost connection, internet connection. So it means that from the very beginning we see that Russian cyber attacks are focused not on military targets, but on civilian targets. So during last year, key facts about 2022, Ukrainian CERT registered 2,194 cyber attacks, and actually only 15% was on military objects, and 85% to civilian. So how do they do this job, and who is involved? Russian government is supported by different hacker criminal groups because they cannot, official government organization cannot do all jobs by themselves, but there are separate hacker groups that are identified for several attacks, and the most active was Gamaredon and Sandworm, who was already mentioned for NotPetya cyber attack previously. In Ukraine, it was a huge cyber attack that also Europe and other countries were touched by this attack. The attribution currently, attribution of cyber attacks is quite difficult. So is a field where international community should work more together in order to facilitate or to develop processes for attribution of cyber attacks to different criminal groups. So because now it's quite difficult, process. In Ukraine, we have also cyber volunteering. So during previous year, we can say that almost 300 cyber professionals joined so-called IT Army of Ukraine. It's not an official army because your government agencies are acting only from defense perspective and not proceed for offensive operations. Now Ukraine is working to create cyber army, but it's on the process. So for the instance, it's only defensive operations and defensive operations on occupied territories. So it's territories that are Ukrainian, but was occupied by Russia, and Russia estimates them as Russian territories. Now, and also a lot of cyber professionals were mobilized in different government agencies. So during past year, we saw really strong partnership between government agencies, private sectors, etc. Because it was really a huge exchange of experience. And also government agency use international partners to analyze cyber incidents. So it's, I think you know all these names of companies, but it's well-known US companies and European companies who contribute to Ukrainian resistance in terms of cybersecurity, in cybersecurity field. So one of cybersecurity is very large, but I wanted also to share with you a different point of view, what types of this sphere is important in this war. So, for example, if we take OSINT, OSINT played and is still playing a very important role. Like, for example, hours before Putin announced the start of this war, already there was US scientists who also already marked that there is something that is happening. And actually, already global media are calling this war as the most documented war, also because of all access to the information through the internet that we have. There are a lot of international OSINT organizations that are currently working in Ukraine, international, but also there are a lot of local ones. And we know that behind every missile strike there are people who execute the order, and actually all these people are identified because it's when we have internet, when we have all information, it's very simple to do for cyber professionals. It's people should think more what they do because everything is visible. Maybe in Russia they are closed in a box and they don't understand how it's work, but in in normal world, you have access to the information. So it's very simple to get result and to find information what and who did what. And of course, if it's concerns about such type of crime. Another important role was played by cloud cybersecurity. You know that Amazon provided very important support, and I liked very much this phrase, how Amazon put Ukraine's government in a box and saved the economy from Russia. Actually, we don't know precise data, but approximately Amazon invested more than $75 million to help Ukrainian government to save data. So it was like government registers, some universities data, very specific information. One interesting case, so maybe you will be interesting more to read it. You can scan the QR code. It's how Ukrainian bank, one of the biggest bank of Ukraine, made this migration to cloud during the wartime. So they have like more than 6,000 employees, and they migrated all the processes without any interruption during first months of the war. Also, I didn't edit this to the presentation, but now Ukrainian government is working on data governance strategy. So how to transfer all processes in cloud, and actually European companies are very welcome to participate and to join these forces as well. Also in terms of IoT cybersecurity, so Ukraine now really is battlefield of new technologies. You know that maybe you've heard that we have army of drones, and we don't have now a lot of information, but drones are used by Ukrainians and by Russian, we call it like eyes of soldiers. And actually they are very often hacked from one side and from another side, but it's something we see that now there are a lot of new technologies that are under development on the front line. So it's something that we will see maybe later. So what lessons we can take from this war? So we understand that cyber domain is bigger than we used to think. And actually, cyber attacks are often used to be with ground attacks as well, with conventional attacks. It is very important to develop cyber education and cyber hygiene for citizens, and it's also what said first speaker. It's this word in red in Spanish. I will not repeat, but absolutely agree with this. Now, international operations and cooperation and exchange of this information has critical importance and value. So Ukraine is very open to coordinate with international business, with government agencies as well. They share all information. CERT Ukraine is publishing a lot of reports about technical details on cyber attacks. If you need this information, I will gladly share with you, or whatever. If you are interested in some insights or contacts, please don't hesitate to contact me. And thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for support of your country. And hopefully everything Ukraine will win in this war. Thank you.
Any question? No. Pues muchísimas gracias, Olga.
Gracias.
Yo creo que esto pone en valor y cierra el ciclo con la primera ponencia que nos ha hecho Enrique esta mañana.
Gracias. I tried it not to be very pessimistic. I mean, we all understand that it's war, but now there is a stage when we can grow together. Can take lessons learned, we can take information, and we can become stronger together. So I want to give you this force, this bravery, and to share this with you, this positive vibe. So
we hope so.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Olga.
Gracias.